welcome to the Soul Cafe, where we discuss real issues in your community, the ones that affect you. So pull up a chair and sit down and relax and take your time. So we're not going to rush through this, but we're going to have an open discussion about what's happening on East Lancaster. Should we continue to allow people on the street to be fed by these organizations and individuals who come down there feeding the homeless? Listen, where there's smoke, there's fire. The feeding of people on East Lancaster Street has been a hot topic.
Hey, we were here with Jason. We're just going to talk about the article that was in the paper this morning regarding cleaning up Lancaster and stopping the feeding of the churches down there of the homeless. Would you agree with that, to stop the churches from feeding, or what? Give me some input on that.
Okay, I disagree because I believe that they give.
What do you mean you disagree? You disagree what?
I disagree that they should not stop it because given the economic hard times that we're in with the jobs and all that, and the fact of people being the homeless population has increased the last 2 years, that it gives them a chance to get food free, and they don't have to spend their money that may be coming in later that they can use later on down the road for their other avenues that they need to help get off the street.
Well, what about they're going to say that there's feeding going on already at the Union Gospel Mission, Salvation Army, Christian Night Shelter, and all that, so there's a gluttony of food that's happening down there on the street. What would you have to say about that?
Well, keep that open because that would give them another option to maybe be able to go get them a good, decent, balanced meal and help them survive and be healthy and all that. And this other would fill in the gaps for like snacks and stuff.
So you don't disagree there's a lot of feeding going on down here?
No, I have no disagree because food comes first before anything else.
Really? All right. Thank you for doing that for us. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
If you want your sandwich smashed, just bring up the subject of feeding people on East Lancaster. In my opinion, it's healthy to talk about things. It's healthy to sit down at the table and talk. So we're going to do that. This topic shouldn't be swept under the political rug or the religious rug. With that said, let's take a big bite out of this huge article in Saturday, January the 23rd, Star Hungrygram. The title of the article was Volunteer Groups Seeking a Clean Start Feeding the Homeless. That's a mouthful. The article painted a not so good picture of organizations and individuals who come down there that take time out of their busy schedules to make meals for families living on the street or in an abandoned building. Well, not everyone down there on East Lancaster have an opportunity to eat at the Three Amigos. The Three Amigos is the Union Gospel Mission, the Presbyterian Night Shelter, and the Salvation Army. So some of these people who come down there that are on the street doesn't come to those organizations, but they live in abandoned buildings or in dilapidated houses. So the interviewer interviewed the neighborhood association, the Near East Side Neighborhood Association members. That association doesn't speak on the behalf of all people, on the behalf of all organizations, and neither do I. We only have our own personal opinions about things. It depends on who's listening. So with that said, I would say the most important thing that we need to do is create an environment, that's a good setting where people can come and sit down and eat and have a dignified conversation with one another. So I would suggest to the neighborhood association that they would take one of their empty buildings down there on East Lancaster and use those buildings in order to open up on those days for people to come inside and sit down and have a decent conversation, a decent meal, out of the heat, out of the storm, out of the bad weather. And then maybe you can sit down at the table with the homeless and find out what's the real reason why they're homeless. And plus they can store their baggage, maybe even pick up their mail. And that would be a great dignified way of showing our love for the people who are on the street and not really throwing rocks at them. That's just a little suggestion that I'm making. So why won't we do that? Isn't it what we want is unity? I think unity is the most important thing. So what do you think we should go from there? How can we bring people together? What is the answer there on Lancaster? Should we stop people from feeding? Should we allow them to continue to feed? I think each one of us has to make a decision how we're going to react to this. My reaction to it, or my response to it, is that we need to bring unity. And I think unity can happen when we sit down at the table of brotherhood, of love, and really figure out what's the best method to bring this to a great conclusion. But I think the best method is that we don't just continue to throw stones at one another. Yes, there's a lot of feeding going down there on East Lancaster Street, but there's an answer to it. if the people down on East Lancaster Street are feeding people and they're doing a good job of it, why don't you invite them into your organization, open the doors to them where they can come inside and start feeding the homeless inside your facility. Then you stop feeding people, and then you save the money, and you save the time, and then you can use that additional money for buying other things that can help the homeless. But I think that makes too much sense. But we're so selfish about our own ministries. Even I'm selfish about my own ministry that we won't see straight. And the way that we can see straight is really coming together and open up our lives and open up our ministry, that we can help one another, because we don't have ownership of the homeless down there. Do we? Something to think about. In conclusion, I would suggest that we just not try to take our methodology and make it a theology of the day for everyone to follow. I don't think everyone is going to follow that. And for us to think that we can go inside Unity Park and then everything's going to be kumbaya and everything's coming together, there's other methods of doing things. We should open up the table to discuss other methods of bringing people together. Unity Park is not the only place that we can gather, but I think we should invite the church to the table. Yes, we've tried in the past, but we must continue to try. We shouldn't give up on people. It takes a long time to turn the Titanic around, doesn't it? But I think that we need to do all of that in love. And my question is, where did you come up with that number of 1.2 million snacks were passed out in 2009? How did you come up with that figure that 1.2 million snacks were passed out in 2009? I mean, you're pretty good at that. I think you should be on the staff of the Fort Worth budgeting department. Man, that's good math there. But I'm not sure how you came up with that. But anyway, the truth of the matter is that not one of us are perfect. If we think our way is the way, the truth, and the life, then we've eaten up some tainted manna. Our organization isn't the perfect organization. Our ideas aren't the perfect ideas. But I think if we put all our ideas together with our true hearts up front, then I think that we can get something done and get the political thing out of the way. And next time we sit down at the table, let's not invite the star Hungry Graham, hungry for a story. Let's us sit down and reason with one another. That's my suggestion. Just my opinion. You can take it or you can leave it. Much love. The Soul Cafe.